At 30, he realized his job wasn't saving him. Jason turned 30 on a quiet Monday morning in Texas, and the day felt heavier than it should have. He woke up early, stared at the ceiling, and felt an uncomfortable stillness inside him. There was no excitement about reaching a new age, only a sense that time had moved faster than expected. He got dressed for work the same way he had for years, repeating a routine that once felt responsible but now felt empty. Driving to the office, he told himself this was normal adulthood. Stability mattered more than happiness, or so he believed. In his early 20s, Jason accepted his first full-time job with confidence and pride. He believed hard work was the safest path to a good life. He arrived early, stayed late, and avoided complaining because he didn't want to seem ungrateful. Managers noticed his dedication, and co-workers relied on him. Jason felt useful, and usefulness felt like progress. Every sacrifice seemed temporary in his mind. As the years passed, the job became his identity. His responsibilities increased, but his freedom did not. He was always busy, always tired, and always waiting for things to improve. Sitting at his desk on his 30th birthday, he felt a quiet fear settle in. For the first time, he wondered if this job was building his future or slowly holding him in place. Jason's paycheck arrived every 2 weeks without fail, but it disappeared just as quickly. Rent, car payments, insurance, groceries, and small, unexpected expenses took everything. He rarely saved money, but he told himself that was normal. Everyone he knew lived the same way, so he never questioned it. Still, a small voice inside him warned that this lifestyle was fragile. At work, Jason began noticing the people around him more carefully. Some co-workers had been there for 15 or 20 years, yet they still worried about bills and emergencies. They joked about retirement as if it were a fantasy, not a plan. Jason realized they were living proof of where his path could lead. That realization unsettled him deeply. What scared Jason the most was the ceiling he could no longer ignore. No matter how hard he worked, his income had limits. His employer controlled his time, his schedule, and his security. He understood that if the job disappeared, so would his sense of safety. The idea that one company held so much power over his life felt dangerous. One evening, Jason sat alone in his apartment and decided to face his finances honestly. He opened his banking app, credit card statements, and monthly expenses. The numbers told a story he had avoided for years. He had no real savings. One emergency could erase everything he had worked for. That realization hit him harder than any stressful workday ever had. He closed his laptop and sat quietly, letting the truth sink in. His mind replayed years of missed family dinners, canceled plans, and constant stress. He remembered telling himself that all the sacrifice would be worth it someday, but now he couldn't see what he was sacrificing for. The future he expected was not waiting for him. That night, sleep felt impossible. Jason kept returning to one painful thought. His job wasn't saving him. It was keeping him just comfortable enough to stay, and just afraid enough to never leave. That was the moment he finally saw the trap clearly. Jason didn't quit his job the next day, and he didn't announce any big changes. Instead, he became curious and quiet. He started observing how money actually worked instead of how people casually talked about it. He realized no one had ever taught him how to build options outside a paycheck. That knowledge gap suddenly felt dangerous. After work, he began learning slowly and consistently. He read about personal finance, skills, and income sources that didn't depend on one employer. He listened to stories of people who built stability over time, not overnight. The more he learned, the clearer it became that effort alone wasn't enough. Direction mattered just as much. Jason's mindset began to change. He stopped chasing comfort and started valuing control. He understood that a job could be part of a plan, but never the entire plan. Depending on one income was the real risk. That realization changed how he viewed work, money, and his future. Progress was slow and often frustrating. Jason still went to the same office every morning and still felt tired most days. Learning after work required discipline, and results didn't appear quickly. Some nights he doubted himself and wondered if he was wasting time. The temptation to return to comfort was always there. He made small but meaningful changes. He tracked his spending, reduced unnecessary expenses, and started saving consistently. He focused on building skills that could exist beyond his current job. None of it was glamorous, and no one praised him for it. But for the first time, his actions felt intentional. Jason realized that growth didn't feel exciting at first. It felt uncomfortable and lonely. Still, he reminded himself why he started. He wasn't chasing quick success. He was building protection, control, and peace. That understanding kept him moving forward. 2 years later, Jason's life wasn't perfect, but it was stable. He wasn't rich, but he had savings and options. His job was no longer his lifeline. It was simply one part of his life. The fear that once controlled his decisions was gone. He finally felt prepared instead of trapped. Looking back, Jason didn't hate his job or regret his past. He understood that he had followed the path he was taught. Society praised loyalty but rarely taught independence. School taught him how to work, not how to protect himself financially. That realization changed how he judged success. Jason learned a truth he wished he had understood earlier. A job can pay your bills, but it cannot save your future. Real security comes from awareness, preparation, and control. If this story felt real to you, subscribe if you don't want to repeat this mistake.